So I both say tonight, this week's Parsha is Lech Lecha, where you read about the mitzvah Bris Milah. It's given to Avraham Avinu. So I'd like to take a look. We know there are Sheva mitzvahs b'nei Noach.
Thank you.
One of them is not Bris Milah. I'd like to take a look. The Gemara has a discussion here where the certain children of Avraham are obligated in the mitzvah of Milah. You'll see there's a machlekes about it, an interesting discussion.
It doesn't say Vayamor Avraham et kol anshe beto? One of the pasuk said you make a question is everybody.
Right. Over here we're going to discuss for future generations. For all of time, are there goyim which are mechuyev in Milah, Bris Milah, because they're children Zera of Avraham? The Gemara, let's take a look at the very last two lines of the Gemara, Sanhedrin and Testament. This Gemara discusses for a long time, discusses the Sheva mitzvah, the 7 mitzvahs which the Bnei Noach are goyim are mechuyevin. So the Gemara quotes, the Gemara really started discussing earlier, Rabbi Yossi ben Chanina said, Kol mitzvah shenemra l'bnei Noach. There were mitzvahs that were said before Matan Torah, like Avim Nechai, Bris Milah, Period V'Rivya, Prudavu. There were a few mitzvahs, besides for the Sheva mitzvah b'nei Noach.
I'm sorry, we're on the daf, it's Nanta Samad Bayis?
The last two lines.
Oh, last two lines.
So that's been the last two lines.
So, but Matan Torah was given, the same mitzvahs, a lot of these mitzvahs were given again. So what happened? So Rabbi Yossi ben Chanina says, the statement comes from Rabbi Yossi ben Chanina, he says like this, the last two lines of the first Amud.
The first one, okay.
Kol mitzvah shenamro b'neiach, any mitzvah which was told to Bnei Noach to keep before Matan Torah, v'nishnish b'Sinai, and it was retaught again by Matan Torah. The Torah again repeats that mitzvah after Matan Torah. So it was mentioned twice. It was mentioned to the Bnei Noach, and it was mentioned also after Matan Torah.
It's also part of the Taryag mitzvahs?
Yeah, it's also part of the Taryag mitzvahs. Then that mitzvah, lozeh v'lozeh nemra. It's meant for both of them. It's meant for Goyim and it's meant for Yidden to keep. Now, early on the Gemara has we're not going to get into it, but earlier on the Gemara has the full statement of Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi continued on and said that anything that was taught to the Bnei Noach, Namel ben Noach, as a mitzvah, but Namel b'nei Noach as a mitzvah, but was not taught again at Har Sinai, was only meant for Klal Yisrael. It's not meant for Bnei Noach. If it was only taught to the Bnei Noach and was not taught again by Matan Torah, then it only applies to Klal Yisrael. It only applies to Klal Yisrael. Because when it came Matan Torah, the concept of the mitzvahs b'nei Noach that happened before is obsolete. Whatever it was until then does not exist. So only if it was taught again at Har Sinai as part of the 613 mitzvahs, then those mitzvahs would also apply to the Goyim. Their Sheva mitzvahs and those added mitzvahs. However, if it was not taught again by Matan Torah, even the Goyim are not mechuyev in it. Only the Yidden.
Like what would be an example?
Only the Yidden would be mechuyev.
What would be an example of one? One of those mitzvahs.
For example, we'll see there's an example of Gid Hanosha. The Gemara discussed it earlier, but Gid Hanosha, not eating that part of the thigh, that was told is only mentioned in the Torah one time. Only by Yaakov. When Yaakov had the fight with the Malach of Esav, and he didn't want to let him go, and the Malach of Esav dislocated that area, and says over there in the Torah, Al Kain, we should not eat the Gid Hanosha.
So everything that was taught mentioned after Noach.
No, everything.
But before Matan Torah.
Anything before Matan Torah that was mentioned,
Right.
but it was not repeated again in the Torah.
Okay.
It's only applicable for Klal Yisrael. Then before Matan Torah, it was applicable to everyone.
Right.
But if it wasn't mentioned again in Matan Torah, it's not applicable for the Goyim. It's only applicable for Klal Yisrael. For example, Gid HaNosh as an example. But any mitzvah that was repeated again as part of the Taryag mitzvahs, it's not only for Klal Yisrael, but if that mitzvah was one of their mitzvahs previously, it stays also for them. That was the klal of Yosi Bar Yehuda.
It's not include the 7 mitzvot Bnei Noach.
Yeah, the 7 mitzvah Bnei Noach were repeated again because
So it
not
was
allowed to
repeated.
kill, now it was all repeated
Was
again to Klal Yisrael. So therefore, they're also mechuyev in it. They're also mechuyev in it. But they're not mechuyev in Gid HaNasha because it wasn't said again in Matan Torah. The whole chiyuv of Bnei Noach today in mitzvahs only comes mikoyach Matan Torah. It only comes mikoyach Matan Torah. Now, the Gemara asks from Testament Beis on the top, V'harei Milah. Wait, we have an example of a mitzvah that Shenemel B'nei Noach. It was said for the B'nei Noach because it was said in this week's parasha by Avram Avinu, V'ata as Bris Tishmar, you should keep my bris. V'nishis, it was taught again by Sinai, by Har Sinai, by Parshas Tazria after Matan Torah. Or by Yoim Hashmini Yimel, you should give a bris on the 8th day. And we know that the din of a bris is only for a yid. The Yisrael Nemra, L'Oila B'nei Noach. This goes in contradiction to the rule that we just learned from Yosef Reb Chanina, that if it was taught again, if it was taught before Matan Torah, and it was taught again at Sinai, it applies to both B'nei Noach and to Klal Yisrael. Well, the mitzvah Bris Milah was taught earlier, and it was taught again after Matan Torah, and we know it only applies to Klal Yisrael.
You consider Avram Avinu B'nei Noach?
So that is a discussion about it. But for first of all, wasn't only Avram Avinu; his whole family, like you said before. So it was his whole family. They you know.
B'nai
Now,
Noach is the descendants.
There is a discussion about the Avos, whether or not the Avos had a status of Bnei Noach, or they went away from the status of Bnei Noach. They were higher Madrega.
How's the whole Bachlifi Yosef and his brothers? What are they with Bnei Noach and not with Gid HaNosh? He said they were eating Gid HaNosh. Not Gid HaNosh, they were eating
Avim and Achai.
Right.
That's another mitzvah that came also, right?
Avim and Achai is only mentioned once in
It's
Torah.
not after Matan Torah?
No, but we have a chiyuv to keep it.
Right. Because it wasn't meant.
It wasn't mentioned again.
Every
So-
Chai is one of the 7 Noahide laws, though.
No, Avim and Achai is, yeah,
Yeah.
but not Gid HaNosh.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just said Avram Minachai wasn't.
No, Avim and Achai is clear in the Torah because Avim and Achai is mentioned
By Noach.
by Noach right after they left the Teva.
Right.
Last week's parasha we read Ach Pesarei Benafshoi. There's psukim over there where it says it clear, and it says it again afterwards.
So where is it meant? Where is it taught again?
I don't remember. The Gemara earlier discusses it. Ahmed Aleph. The Gemara before our Gemara discusses it. We're going to stick to the Inyan of Bris Milah for this year. Purpose of this year. The Gemara here. A lot of discussion about all the Bnei Noach mitzvahs, how we learn them out, and how do we know each one, where does the chiyuv come from. This is the sugya. This is the sugya Shemitz Bnei Noach. Now, so the Gemara has this shaila over here. We have Bris Milah was Namra Koyde Matan Torah. It was Nishnis Bahar Sinai. And still in all, we say it's only applicable for Klal Yisrael, not for Bnei Noach. Answers the Gemara, Hahu, the 4th line, Hahu, the Mishri, Shabbos, Hu da Asa. It's coming to permit Shabbos. By Yoim, Afilu b'Shabbos. No, the pasuk by Yom Hashmini Yom B'Salas is not a mitzvah. The Torah did not teach the mitzvah after Matan Torah. It didn't. It says in Parashat Tazria by Yom Hashmini Yom B'Salas. That's to teach you a detail. To teach you by Yom Hashmini that it has to be on that day, even if it's Shabbos. You push off Shabbos, you make a bris on Shabbos. Even though such a thing as Mechal Shabbos, right? You're making a surgery on Shabbos. Bris Milah pushes off Shabbos. So it comes out, really, in essence, it was taught only one time, before Matan Torah. But a certain detail was taught after Matan Torah. So therefore, it doesn't apply to Bnei Noach, because it was only taught once. Anything that was taught once, before Matan Torah, only applies to Klal Yisrael, it doesn't apply to Bnei Noach. So the Gemara asks now further, okay, but I have another problem. Another problem with Rabbi Yossi B'Chanina said. Vayipiri. It says the idea that there's the chiv to have children. Shenevel b'nei Noach. It says after they left the teva, last week's parasha was of atem pru'revu, that you should be fruitful and multiply. V'nei b'Sinai, and we see it was taught again after Har Sinai, where it says after Matan Torah, Klal Yisrael was taught before Matan Torah that you're supposed to stay away from their wives. After Matan Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu was told by Hashem, Leich Emer Lahem, go and tell them, Shuvu Lachem La'aleichem. They should all go back to their tents. They should go back and they should have children. So we see it was taught, Pruvu was mentioned before, and the mitzvah Pruvu was mentioned afterwards. Still no, who does the mitzvah Pruvu apply to? It only applies to Klal Yisrael. There's no Chiyah Pruvu on Bnei Noach. The Yisrael number was only taught to Yisrael, v'lo l'bnei Noach. So the Gemara answers, that was meant for another inyan, for a side point. Again, a similar answer. The mitzvah Pruvu was only taught once. It was only taught by Noach to Noach and his children. It wasn't taught after Matan Torah. You see it mentions after Matan Torah that they should go Shuvu L'chem La'aleichem. So the Gemara,
what does that have to do with after Matan Torah? That's the difference. We're talking now about after Matan Torah, so it says after the test. We're not talking now about whether Hashem told it to him twice. We're talking about whether Hashem told mankind something before Torah and more after.
Oh, so but Kipshute Kimashmai, after Matan Torah, they were told after Matan Torah, right after Matan Torah, Moshe told them, "L'chul shvul aleichem." That now you're allowed to have passion.
Pruvu meant to say that you're allowed to have
relations, but that
allowed to have the Pruvu. Haraya, there was a Canaan.
That's a good shaila. Ich habe nicht keinen Antwort dann. It's a good kasha.
In Mitzrayim, did not say about Pruv.
What did you say?
No, it says that a fact that they had a lot of children in Mitzrayim. It doesn't say they have a chiyuv.
No.
It says vayishitzu vayirbu v'yatzim ba'id moed, but it doesn't say they have a chiyuv. It just says that's the fact that they had a lot of children. They had 6 children, but it doesn't say they have a chiyuv. The obligation, it says clearly only atem pru revu. That was told to Noach, children.
When Amram took back Yocheved, it doesn't say Pruv, would it?
No.
When he separate first and then he took her back?
No, it didn't say anything.
You're never going to succeed in business.
Now, so Lamaisa, the Gemara somehow understands this Shvul Lechem La'aleichem as being a mitzvah pruruvu. So, but we see that if it was set l'chora according to the Klal Beis Chanina was taught again after Matan Torah, it should apply to Goyim too. It doesn't apply to Bnei Noach. It's not the things that the Tana mentions in the Mishnah. One of the Shevets Bnei Noach. Hence the Gemara again, Pruvu was really essentially only taught before Matan Torah. This whole story by Matan Torah where Moshe Rabbeinu Hashem told him Shvul Lechem La'aleichem, that was teach a certain din. A din was that before Matan Torah they were told that Hashem told them Al Tikshul Isha. Don't approach your wives. Al Tikshul Isha. So it was a gzeira. There was a gzeira. So l'chora the gzeira was only up until Matan Torah.
Only 3 days. That's it.
Hayu nechoinim l'shleishes yamim. After Matan Torah, it's over. So why do we need a pasuk, a special tzivui? Leich emer lehem. Hashem tells Moshe, go and tell them they're allowed to go back. They don't need to be told. They know it's over. Matan Torah is over. Elamai, we learn from here. Chol davar shebeminyan tzorich minyan achelatiri. Huda asa. It teaches a klal that in order to be mater gzeira, even if it had a time limit to it, you need to have again a tzivui, that case, authority to say that like the Sanhedrin should come and say it falls down.
That answers the question I was going to ask you about Yosef. That during the shots of the famine, he was was Zog.
Perish.
Perish. So the afterwards.
It was Gaza and Atzmo.
No, right, exactly. So there was no opinion. There was no opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, Toysus over here argues and holds that if something was time limited, l'chatchila, you don't need to have Sanhedrin to repeal it. It automatically repeals. And he learns Pshat and Rashi differently. The Rashi himself only originally wanted to learn that. But it's to tell you any Gzeira which was not time limited, but the reason went away, even if there was no time. So that this passage teaches you that you need to have a bezin to repeal it.
Excuse me, sir. You said it doesn't be fruitful and multiply. It doesn't apply to the B'nai Noach?
No, doesn't apply
Well,
to
how
that.
come? Well, half of it does multiply. You're saying both of them fruitful and multiply? Is it one thing or
Both don't apply.
Well, then how come the Rebbe once said when somebody once said that they should sterilize the Palestinians? The Rebbe says, "Well, the one thing they're doing right, you shouldn't take away from them."
No,
Is that
there
right?
is.
Did he say that?
But it's not part of the Sheva Mitzvahs. It's part of another law of the Sheves Yitzhara, that there's an inyan that they should keep that the world should be a settled place and everything. I'm not bucking those dinim, but from a different clause you can learn it out. But not to the Sheva Mitzvah in Neach.
And I don't know why the Rebbe said that. They should all be sterilized in that case, if it's not the Sheva Mitzvahs. Really.
Now, I don't know what the Rebbe did say, didn't say, so you don't know.
I heard that.
Yeah, I heard someone say that once, but you have to know if it's written somewhere. People went into audiences with the Rebbe and they came out and they said different stories than what they heard, so you have to know.
כל אחד אומר מהורי ליבו.
I heard from one of the choizim by the Rebbe, the one who was appointed to Chaz of the Rebbe's Torah was Rabbi Yoel Khan, so he said that one time there was a Yid came out from Yechidus, from the Rebbe, for a private audience. He didn't say who it was, a certain person, a chashuv person, and usually when somebody used to come out from Yechidus, an important individual, so the Bachrim would all crowd around and ask him what happened inside, what was your conversation like? And they would dance with him a little. So anyway, so Rabbi Chodakov, the Rebbe's chief of staff, was nearby in the hall, so he told, he couldn't go, he was an older chashuv person, not going to go and listen in, but he told Rabbi Yoel Khan he should go over and listen in to what he says. And so he listened into what he said, his report.
But he's telling the buffer.
Yeah, what he was telling over about the audience. And then he told him afterwards, you should write up what you heard. So he wrote it up for him. He took it, and he gave it to the Rebbe. the Rebbe it comes back with the Rebbe wrote on this paper, a 4-letter Rosh Tevis, Lamed Hey Dal Mem. La Hadam, which means this story never happened.
Wow.
So
That's amazing because the Rebbe's like basically telling Chanukah the guys are shakran.
Listen, there's a lot of shakanim in the world. It's not the only one. Not the first, not the last. So,
I'm saying, but the Rebbe could have just said that don't publish this. You know what I'm saying?
No, it wasn't published.
No, but it's interesting how the Rebbe said it. It's like,
yeah, he wanted
Maybe
to
the
let me
Rebbe
know.
said-
saying Amos.
yeah, but but Charkov knows who it is, and they were saying this guy's a liar.
No, let me tell you something.
People that
read
Torah was-
in, they think they heard, they want to hear.
Right.
I know this is a problem
Exactly.
with certain Yid, people I
Right.
grew up with. I could tell you.
Yeah,
that
yeah, it's
now is
true.
not the
Yeah, yeah.
point.
They don't necessarily mean harm. They just
Yeah.
they imagine things.
Yeah.
People that fantasize.
Yeah.
Me and my wife saw
They're
the Rebbe.
artistic. They're very artsy. They don't see things the way they are, black and white. They see a little bit colorful.
Me and my wife saw the Rebbe. Yechidus. We were there like for 45 minutes. And every minute, Rabbi Gorner opened the door and he told him, "Mach det otir, mach det otir." When we got out, people was there and they came and asked us, "Why so long you wait? What the Rebbe spoke to you?" He asked me to tell him story about the Ben Ish Chai, about my grandfather. So we're sitting, but it's unbelievable. We couldn't look at his face. It's fire.
Really?
45 minutes we were sitting.
Okay.
His face?
So
By the way, I
what's
saw that goes by you and said the Rebbe said it did happen by you Yechidus.
What?
The Rebbe says the Rebbe took out Lamed,
Yeah.
and he said it did
Oh,
happen.
did it?
So, Okay. Now,
Amen.
okay.
Shackle the word.
Now the Gemara basically had the Gemara had two questions. We had Milah. Bris Milah was taught a second time, and still in all it's not, doesn't apply to Bnei Noach. So the Gemara deflected that by saying it's not to tell over the mitzvah again, it's just to tell you over a detail that you on Shabbat you're allowed to have a person Shabbos. Per Yerivia, the same story was said twice and does not apply to Bnei Noach. Again, the Gemara answers that it was just meant for a detailed din that you should know that you have to, you need to have a davar shebeminyan tzarich minyan achal atirei. The Gemara says if so, if that's the case, you're able to answer up Peri V'Rivia and Milah. Ihachi, the Gemara says, Kol chada v'chada neima mishamul says ihachi. Isni. If so, every single time you're going to see something in Torah mentioned, you see it mentioned twice, one before and whatever, you just say it was taught for some type of deed, doesn't have a chiddush. So you're going to lose the whole concept, the whole rule. Now, Hachi come. This is what Rabbi Yossi meant to say. Azhara mehader o misniba. You need only when it was taught over with a warning that you have to keep it. The Torah told you a tziva, a command that you have to keep it. Then it's considered that it was taught a second time. But if details are mentioned, it's not considered a second time.
What happened with that Tzipora Eshet Moshe when she made the brit for the son? She didn't hear it in Har Sinai. I mean, she
did it as a Bnei Noach, from Avraham Avinu. Yeah,
She was also in the.
it was before Matan Torah.
She was
It
also
was on the way to Mitzrayim.
I think she was also a prophet.
Right, but these were mitzvahs that they were taught, kept before. All the Klai Yisrael kept it. Shevet Levi always kept it. Now, the Gemara says, we're getting to the main point now. The Gemara says, Lamali ve'ein lano l'gidna anashal b'vad l'yudah b'yoda haninami lo yisni. Now the Gemara answers Shaila. Earlier on, the Gemara had said, there's only one mitzvah that was taught before Matan Torah and was not taught again Matan Torah. That's Gid Nasha. Gid Nasha only mentions it by Yaakov Avinu. Doesn't mention again in the Torah ever. So says the Gemara, what do you mean you're telling me only Gid Nasha? You told me this before. We just now found two things. Bris Milah, Peri Yerivia, the Torah only mentions it once before. So that, listen, the Gemara answers back. There's a big difference between the two. Those things, Hani, Isni l'shemilsa, Milsa ba'alma. Holy Isni klal. Those things, Bris Milah and Peri Yerivia, indeed, you're right. They taka were only taught once, like Gid Nasha before Matan Torah. But they were repeated for a certain detail that they were repeated again, to learn out a certain detail. Gid Nasha was not taught at all again. There's no mention of it at all. Okay?
I have a fundamental question. If something's not taught,
Yeah.
if something is taught, is not taught at all until Matan Torah, but the Yid are practicing it. Okay, like for example, Shabbos.
Yeah.
It wasn't taught till Matan Torah, right? But the Yid were practicing it, right? Because it says the Avos were practiced the Torah, right? So you said, were they practicing Shabbos? Can we assume they were holding Shai Shabbos?
Shabbos is a problem because it says Goisha Shabbos Chayev Misa, so it's not so pashut. Not so pashut.
They weren't Jews at the time.
But even if they did it as a chumrah. They were not commanded. It's all a chumrah. The Avos kept the Torah. It was considered a chumrah. If that chumrah of theirs to keep the Tayag mitzvah somehow pushed away one of their inyanim, that was doich Hashem and Tzitz was the most important thing. There's a lot of interesting sichas of the Rebbe about it. The Rebbe had a lot of discussions about what was the status of the Avos then and different things. L'mashal, Yaakov Avinu married sisters, right? How was he allowed to do that? If he was allowed to, but it was for Matan Torah. But if he kept the Torah, how was he doing that? So there's a lot of discussion, all these things that we see, different things that Avos did. So there's discussions about why they did it, did they...
But the question is, nothing that they did that wasn't taught pre-Matan Torah had any effect on the Goyim. In other words, let's say the Goyim...
No, nothing they did on their own, no.
Because they weren't considered the Orla Goyim, the chosen nation, so the Goyim didn't have any reason to imitate them.
Yeah. Now, The Gemara now, I want to come to this, the next few lines, the key lines that we're learning this Gemara for. The Gemara now has another answer. We asked a question previously about Bris Milah. We asked the question earlier, how do we deal with this klal? We find Bris Milah is mentioned again. It's mentioned to Avraham Avinu, this week's parasha. It's mentioned again in Parashat Tazriah after Matan Torah, and only applies to Yidden. So what do we answer? No, it was only taught once before Matan Torah. This that it was taught again in Parashat Tazriah is just to teach us a detail. By Yom HaShmini Yimel, you learn out that you're allowed to give a Bris Milah on Shabbos. Just a detail. But the actual mitzvah is only taught once. Says the Gemara here and now. No, a different answer. Iba Yisema, a different answer. Another answer is no. Milah Taka was taught twice. Why doesn't it apply to Bnei Noach? Very pashut. Milah was never given to Bnei Noach. Milah wasn't given to Bnei Noach. It was only given to Avraham Avinu. So there's no problem with the fact that it was repeated twice. This has nothing to do with the rule. Something's repeated twice because it never, Lachatchila was never given to Bnei Noach. It wasn't given to all Bnei Noach. Only to Avram specific, he himself and his family. It wasn't given to all Bnei Noach. Bnei Noach means all of mankind. This wasn't given. It was given to his family, to him. So this doesn't apply to the whole rule.
When were the Noahide laws?
The Torah only cautioned Avram on this. Va'atas brisi tishmer, you should keep my bris. Ata you, v'zarecha achrecha, your seed after you, l'deirosim, for all generations. Ata v'zarecha in, you and your seed, yes, in a shachin loy, and no one else has to keep it. So this deals with the whole kasha. Kasha mi karalas, with all kashas away. Elamiyata says the Gemara now that you're telling me that Avraham Avinu's family was mechuyev, why are the Bnei Yishmael mechuyev? Elamiyata Bnei Yishmael l'chayvi. The Bnei Yishmael should be mechuyev. The Arabs should be mechuyev. Says the Gemara back, "Ki Yitzchak yikar l'chazera." It said Hashem told Avraham Avinu, "Yitzchak yikar l'chazera." Your seed is going to be with Yitzchak. You had Yishmael, but your zera is Yitzchak. So that's the zaracha acharecha by Bris Milah refers to your zera. Who's your zera? Yitzchak. Ask the Gemara, Bnei Esav l'chayvi. Esav is the children of Yitzchak. So it says Yitzchak is your zera, so one of Yitzchak's children is Esav. Bnei Esav l'chayvi. And so the Gemara, Be Yitzchak v'lo yikol Yitzchak. Be Yitzchak yikol. In Yitzchak's family, you will have seed. It doesn't say all of Yitzchak. Not all of Yitzchak's family is going to be your zera. It's only the lineage of Yitzchak to Yaakov. We exclude Yishmael and Esav from being zera. Maska Rav asks, Almeyata b'nei Keturah loy l'chayvi. We know that b'nei Keturah, the children of Keturah was the wife that Avraham Avinu remarried after he had Yitzchak. After he had Yitzchak with Sarai, he married Keturah and he had 6 children with her. Medrash says, Chazal say Keturah was Hagar. The same person, it was Hagar who he had sent away. Now, after he had a child with Sarah, he brought her back. And now he had another 6 children with her, and these are called Bnei Keturah. Now, Bnei Keturah also did a Bris Milah. So, if you're telling me you have a drasha, Kibi Yitzchak Kara Chazara, it's only Yitzchak and only through Yaakov. So Bnei Keturah Lei L'chayvi, Bnei Keturah should not have to have a bris. And says the Gemara, we have a separate pasuk that teaches us that Bnei Keturah should have a bris. Ha'amar Rabbi Yosi bar Oven, v'yiteimer Rabbi Yosi bar Chanina, has brisi heifar, that if someone's going to transgress my bris, the rabbis Bnei Keturah, this includes the children of Keturah to also have a bris. Comes out that in a Chanami Yishmael Esav don't have a bris, but Bnei Keturah have to have a bris. That's the conclusion of the Gemara to what we know. So Lamaisa, the Gemara concluded that Bnei Keturah need a bris. So what does that mean, Bnei Keturah?
So the Gemara is asking, Miyata Bnei Keturah lo chayvi?
Yeah, they should not be mechuyev.
So the other zera is a zera levatel.
Why should you think they shouldn't be mechayiv?
Why should you think that they're not mechuyev?
Yeah.
Because it says Ki Yitzchak Karach Hazeh. Dafke Yitzchak. So
the Keturah is going back to Avram.
Good, but Avraham Avinu is being told by Hashem, only your seed of Yitzchak, your Yitzchak is your zera. What about all Yishmael? Excludes Yishmael, so it should exclude Bnei Keturah automatically. We have a special pasuk includes Bnei Keturah.
Yeah, but
Rashi explains what does it mean Bnei Keturah. Take a look at the left side. The mamish in the middle of the Amud, the line starts with Bnei Keturah.
Yeah.
Bnei Keturah, Oisan Sheshisha Shanil Avram. Only those 6 that were born to Avram, Hein Atzmalei L'Chayvi. They themselves, they're not mechoyev. The name of Hashdim Bal Avram Kobana Shayv L'Chayev. Are you going to tell me that Avram Avinu did not give a bris milah to all his children in his lifetime? Says Gemara, you're right. We learn from the pasuk. It's Brisi Heifa L'Rabbis Bnei Keturah. Oisam Shisha Levadam V'Leizaram. Those 6 alone are chayiv, and not their children. Avram Avinu himself had a chayiv to give a bris milah to everyone that was born to him. He gave to Yishmael, and he gave to Bnei Keturah. But Bnei Keturah's children are not mechuyev. Only the Bnei Keturah themselves, those 6 children, that had a bris milah.
This Bnei Keturah, it's the same like Ishmael.
Right, what's it?
No,
The
no,
same,
that's a brother. Yishmael's a brother. Yishmael's a brother. He was born first, Yishmael, then was Yitzchak. Then he had with Keturah 6 children.
The same one.
Their seed is from these children.
But Abraham was married to Hagar, he
Right.
Keturah. And then he sent that
Well, but
away.
they're brothers. They're not the same people. Yitzchak and Esav are also Yitzchak and Yishmael are also brothers. They're not the same people. Yitzchak is Yitzchak Avinu and Esav is Esav
Everybody
Rasha.
wants to know why Yishmael is treated different than Bnei Keturah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to know.
Well, first of all, Yishmael was mechuyev right. Was mechuyev then. What right away then was a special command that Yishmael also had a bris. Avraham had a bris with Yishmael before Yitzchak was even born. Right. From all these psukim, we learn out that later on, Yitzchak, when Yishmael was 13, Avraham was 99. They both had a bris milah together, and all the family, the slaves, and everyone the whole household had bris milahs. But from the psukim, we learn out that all his seed afterwards, Atas Bris Tishmer, Atav Zarecha Achrechel Dereisam, all of his zera has to always keep forever the bris milah. Well, who is considered his zera? From other psukim later on, we see that Dafka Yitzchak's family was considered zera. Yishmael had his own tzivui, his own separate situation. But Yishmael's children are excluded from later on pasuk Kibi Yitzchak. But l'chora, the pasuk Kibi Yitzchak should also exclude the children of Keturah who were born later on, after Yitzchak. Says the Gemara, no, those were included by Brisi Heifa.
Only the
Rashi learns that only the Bnei Keturah themselves,
not their kids,
not their children. However, the Rambam did not learn the Gemara that way. The Rambam learned, let's take a look, the Rambam learned that not only the 6 children of Bnei Keturah were Mechoyev, but also their seed forever and ever for all generations is Mechoyev in Bris Milah.
And who are they?
Means the Bnei Keturah, good question, the Bnei Keturah are not only obligated to keep the standard Shem Mitzvah that all Goyim are Mechoyev, they have a special mitzvah being the seed of Avraham Avinu. They were not excluded from the Psukim like Yishmael and Esav. They have a chiyuv to keep Bris Milah for all future generations. Avraham Avinu is their forefather. That's how the Rambam understood the Gemara. Not like Rashi who understood the Gemara, that the rabbis Bnei Keturah and coming Kuk Bnei Keturah only consider the children of Keturah those children themselves, but not their children. But the Rambam understood it meant Bnei Keturah, all the descendants of Keturah, for all future generations, always have to keep the mitzvah Bris Milah.
What about the import of your zera shall be in Yitzchak, means your spiritual genes as well? Circumcision is a spiritual thing, it's not just a physical thing.
There's something special. The Bnei Keturah do have something unique, and they have to keep the Bris Milah. They're not like Klal, so they weren't at Matan Torah, but they do have an extra mitzvah.
Who are these people?
Let's take a look in the round. Good question. Take a look at the 3rd page of our booklet. We have here halacha Zayin. We're going to look at Halacha Zayin and Ches, the left column.
Milah.
You see the numbers, the left column, it's Parak Yud, Halacha Zayin. Amila, Nitztavaba, Bnei Keturah are the children of Avraham Avinu after
So they
Yitzchak.
came after Bnei Noach.
After Yitzchak. Bnei Noach is from Noach, right? Noach is earlier. Adam Arishan,
It's
Noach.
like a second generation.
Bnei Noach is a general term for anyone before Matan Torah.
So
All
Bnei
good.
Bnei Keturah should be included.
Yeah, they are included. They're Mechuyev Shevetz
So
Bnei,
why you separate Bnei Keturah?
because they're children of Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu had a chiyuv that all his zera have to keep the Bris Milah. Va'ata is brisi tishmer, ata v'zarecha achlecha, zayreisam.
So it's separated from Bnei Noach. Two of
Yeah.
them is Bnei Noach. Now
But they have to keep, besides for being a regular Bnei Noach, they have an extra
A mitzvah
mitzvah.
milah.
Yeah. Hamila nitztava ba'Avraham v'zarei b'lvad. Shenemer ata v'zarecha achlecha zayreisam. Only Avraham and his seed. But Yatza Zarei Shel Shmuel, we're going to exclude his seed of Yishmael. Shenamer Kibi Yitzchak Yikar L'Chazar. Dafka Yitzchak is his seed. V'Yatza Esav, we're going to exclude Esav. She Yitzchak Amal Yaakov. V'Yitzchak L'Chal Spirkas Avraham L'Chal Zarecha. Yitzchak told Yaakov that I'm giving you the bracha of Avraham. This is going through you. Miklal, the Ram actually uses a different pasuk, drasha than the Gemara used. I'm not going to get into it. Miklal, Shehu Levadei Zari Shel Avraham. From this teaching, from here we see out that Yaakov Avinu is the hemshich of Avraham Avinu. Hamachzik B'das B'dak Yishar, he follows in his path. V'heina Mechuyav Milah. They are the Mechuyav Milah. Siv Ches, Amra HaChachamim, Shebnei Keturah, Shemzai Shel Avraham, Shebo Acher Yishmael v'Yitzchak, Chayavim Milah. They're Chayavim Milah. The Bnei Keturah are Mechuyav Milah. Since the Yishmaelim, the children of Yishmaelim and the children of Bnei Keturah have all mixed into each other, the families mixed into each other, so they're not separate anymore, they're not distinct. So we don't know anymore who are Bnei Keturah. The Arabs, there's Bnei Keturah and Bnei Yishmael, there's different descendants. Yischayvu hakoil b'mila b'shmini. They are all mechuyev. All the Arabs are mechuyev to have milah on Shmini, sheet of the Rambam. All are mechuyev to have bris milah on the 8th day. Mechuyev to have a bris milah. When do the Arabs have
They
it?
have it on the 13th year.
They do it by mitzvah
Yeah.
because they hold it there from Yishmael. But the problem is that what about the Bnei Keturah that are mixed in? The Bnei Keturah are mechuyev to have a milah on Shmini just like Avraham Avinu.
And if they don't,
Ain't a ragin Allah. We don't, they're
Go
not
for the
killed
head,
for
go
it.
for the head.
Shevim Ritzvaneach, if they don't keep, they're killed.
Okay, yeah.
But this, they're not killed.
do you think the Rambam was forced into holding this because he lived in Arab countries?
No,
It doesn't make any sense. To
no,
me.
no. We have the censored version and the uncensored version of the Rambam. There's no change here.
He believes that's what he believes.
Now, it's a machloikis Rambam and Rashi. Let's recap. Rashi holds the Gemara said La Rabbeis Bnei Keturah to include Bnei Keturah is only the actual children of Keturah. Those 6 people, those 6 children, that's it. Rambam understood, obviously, he doesn't have a pirush on the Gemara, but in his halachis, we see that he understood that Bnei Keturah meant all the future generations have to keep it. And since they mixed in with the families of Yishmael, all the Arabs today are mechuyev in Bris Milah.
Or else, but what if they
There's
don't
no
do
or
it?
else.
No,
we
but
don't,
they don't have
we
to
don't
say
punish them, but they have a
animals.
chiyuv. They have a
They
chiyuv.
have a chiyuv, but what if they don't do
You
it?
should
But we-
encourage them to do it.
But if we don't do it, then we says we descend into Gehenna because
Well, maybe they get other
Yeah.
punishment, but they're not killed for it. That's all. The Ram doesn't say what happens, but
They're mechuyev.
they get a schar for it. Now,
It could
So
be.
Shem,
the Shagas Aryeh was a very big goyim. The Shagas Aryeh had a big kasha. He doesn't like. He looked into Ram and Rashi, and he looked at the entire Gemara, and he felt that Rashi is much more pshat in the Gemara. He didn't like the Rambam pshat. He long pilpul, and he went to prove that he felt Rashi's right. The Shiloh was very negeya for him. Someone asked him that there are these. He calls them Hagriim. They're people that I guess that is refugees or something. People that came, migrated to their area, that came from the Arab lands, and he was asked, "Are they mechuyev? Do we have a minyan to go help do a bris? If they come ask us to do a bris milah, sha'ar mo'ilim make bris milah for them." So the Shagasaya goes into a whole pilpul, and he feels that Rashi is correct, and he doesn't want to take on the pshat of Rambam. Proving from the Gemara, you have an equal stance, the Rashi and the Rambam, who are you going to take? So it wasn't like you have a majority here. There's no majority, there's two opinions.
Right.
So he felt from the Gemara differently, he had many, many different rayas. He felt the halacha is like Rashi, and therefore they're not mechuyev. Besides for all of this, he had a very strong question on the Rambam, a side question on the Rambam. There is we know in Torah, the Torah tells us there's certain certain countries that we're not allowed to marry into. Ammon, Moav, Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim, you're allowed to marry into a third generation. They're also lover bakol. Means they're allowed to become gerim, but they're not, even the Ammon and Moav, they're allowed to become gerim, but they can't marry a yid. They can't marry Klaisel, even if they become a ger. They're not allowed to marry a Jewish lady. A yid is allowed to marry. A yid can marry one of their women, a giyrus, but a Jewish girl cannot marry one of their men, even if he becomes a yid.
So
A ger. But a Mitzri can become a ger, and the third generation, his grandchildren will be able to marry.
They can marry a ger.
Yeah, they can marry other gerim other gerim they can marry. Now, the Gemara says the Gemara says, and the Rishonim say this doesn't apply anymore. Why doesn't it apply anymore?
I don't know who they are.
Oh, we don't know anymore. The nations of the world, even though they're living in certain places, they got mixed up. From the time when Sancheriv came around and the ending of Bayesheni, Rishon, Sancheriv, the Melech of Ashur, the Assyrian king, mixed the whole world. Such wars went on, and he moved nations around to keep his power. He moved Aseres HaShvatim, he exiled them. So he moved nations around from their places. Now we don't know who's who, and things became mixed up. So when a person will come to Bezdin and will say, I want to become a ger, or I want to marry into a Jewish woman, we can't anymore say, just because you live in that land, you must be a Maini or a Mayavi. Why? We don't know. We're going to go after the majority. Majority nations of the world are mutter to marry. You're mutter to marry into majority nations of the world. So most probably we go by the majority. You go by the Rav. Since we can't say for sure what nation they're from, we're going to go after the Rav, the majority. Majority of nations of the world are kosher nations to marry into if they become gerim. So they're allowed to marry in.
We're waiting for the Mashiach.
Mitzrayim, it says, there's a little bit of discussion about Mitzrayim if it has the same status, because Mitzrayim, Sancheriv kept them there for another 40 years. There's some discussion about it. But even the halacha l'mais in Mitzrayim is also the same din. So it says that Shagasarye, I don't understand. Why is the Rambam saying that now that Bnei Keturah are mixed up with Bnei Yishmael, even according to his Shita, I hold that the Rashi is correct, but according to his Shita that Bnei Keturah includes all future generations, he's saying that if the Bnei Keturah get mixed up with Bnei Yishmael, now Bnei Yishmael they're all mechuyev in Milah. He said, I have a problem. Sancheriv came and mixed up the whole world today. So even Bnei Yishmael are not Bnei Yishmael, Bnei Keturah are not Bnei Keturah anymore. Everyone should be patur, because we have to go after the majority. Majority nations of the world are not Bnei Yishmael, Bnei Keturah. So they should all be patur from Milah. Let's take a look inside. V'oid, on the Shagasari, the next page, the right column v'oid. Yeah? Rabbi say it's the fourth sheet. Fourth sheet in the handout. V'oid, it says Shagasai in the top. V'oid and itam al Rambam. And more I'm wondering of the Rambam. Afilu lefi dvarav, even according to his shita, the Bnei Keturah v'zarav and their seed in Stavel Amila. Afilu achi la'acha shebilbul sancheriv melech ashes kolomus. He mixed up all the nations. Miyata hakol pturim min Amila. They're all patur from Milah. The Mahai time Tilu Yehuda ger Amoini. There was a ger from the nation of Amoin. Yehuda, his name was Yehuda ger Amoini. Chazal were matum lavi bakol to marry a Jewish woman. Kiditznam Maseches Yadayim. Umaisi b'reish perek the brachas. Boy b'yoyim boy Yehuda ger Amoini v'fnei Medrash. That day Yehuda, the ger of Amoini, came before Chazal and Beis Medrash. V'amalei Gamliel also at lo v'kol. Gamliel told him you cannot marry a Jewess. Amalei Yeshua said to him, Gamliel, v'chi Amayim Moav b'koyim yoshvin. Are the nations of Ammon and Moav still in their land? Kvar all Sancheir Melech Asher Biblos Kol Omes. Shneiman, he quotes the psukim of the Nevi'im where we see that Sancheir did that. Miyad right away, Chachamim stood up, Hitiru Lavi B'Kol. They allowed Yehuda Ger Almoini to marry a Jewish woman. V'chein Paskul Balapais. And this Gemara is not just a Gemara; it's brought in halacha. V'Harama Miklalan, the Rambam as well also holds of that. He writes clearly, Shakas the Perikibez of Holchus Yisuri Bia. Sha'ala Sancheir Melech Asher Biblos Kol Omes. Even Zavazay mixed them all up. He exiled them all to different places. Those Mitzvim, the Egyptians living in time at the Nashim Mechim, they're different people. The Edomites, Shabbastei Edom, are not the same. So the four nations are also got all mixed up. The rest of the nations are which are mutter. Everyone's mutter. Shakol Pirish man Lizgayer, so quoting from the Rambam himself holds this. Shakol Pirish man Lizgayer, anyone who separates and comes to become a ger, Chaskotza, we assume Shapirish man arrived, he's from the majority. Chagerish and Lizgayer, Brazman Hazeh, a ger that converts in this time, B'chol Makim in the entire world. Bein Adoimi, Bein Mitzri, Bein Amoini, Bein Meyavi, Bein Kushi, Bein Sharomais, Echatzarim, Vechanekevas, Mutarin, Lave, B'chol Miyad. All mutter right away to get married to Jewish people. Ad kan Lashon Rambam. The Kitzer, he says over here that for sure, and the ending includes for sure, after I prove that we hold like Rashi anyways, the people in our country, that these people are for sure not Mechuyev B'Smil. Now, Lamaisa, the Kash of the Shagas Aryeh, a lot of Chachamim, Achreinim discussed the Kash of the Shagas and the Rambam, and they gave different solutions to the Rambam's Shaila. We'll discuss a little bit out loud outside some of the questions. The Minchas Chinuch in our Parsha, Lamdash Sefer, the Minchas Chinuch says like this. First he brings a pshat from the son of the Neiv Yehuda. In the Tshuva Rabbi Cheskel land of the Neiv Yehuda, he brings a tshuva from his son. His son was asked the same question. He asked the same question the Shagas Aryeh asked on the Rambam. He on his own came up with it. This Rav wrote to the son of the Neiv Yehuda. So the son of the Neiv Yehuda writes back to him, you know, you were mechavim with your Shaila to the Shagas Aryeh. This Shaila was already asked for the Shagas Aryeh. It's a very good kasha. How could the Rambam say that Bnei Keturah, now that the mix of Bnei Yishmael, they're all mechuyev milah, nowadays they should all be pater, because Sancheir already mixed up the whole world? And he answers like this. He said a very geschmack pshat. You know, the din of Roiv is based on different psukim. One of the lemudim that we learn out from is Acher Rav Lahates. You have to go after majority. So the concept of when we have majority, have a minority, we should follow the majority, that rule, he says that rule only applies to Klal Yisrael. We don't find that Bnei Noach fall under the rule of going after the Rav. Going after the Rav.
What's right, majority?
Yeah. So Memela, when it comes to those Goyim that converted, they became Gerim, and we have a Shaila if they're from the nations which is also Lavi Bakal, Amin and Moav, Mitzrayim. So there makes sense that we should follow Rav nations of the world, because we don't know who they are. So we'll follow the Rav. Majority nations of the world are Mutter, Lavi Bakal. So we follow Rav because they're part of Klal, so they're Gerim. They're Yidden. If they're Bnei Yisrael, we apply to them the rule of Achi Rab Lahatis of the Klal of Rav. Mash'ein Kain, when you're dealing with the Bnei Keturah and the Bnei Yishon, which are Goyim, they're not Yidden, they didn't convert. And now, so the Shaila, the Shagas Aryeh, and this Rav who wrote to the son of Yehuda, their Shaila was that why don't we apply the Klal of Rav to them, that we don't know who anyone is in the world today, and since the majority are not mechuyev in milah, so they shouldn't be mechuyev in bris milah. Says the says the son of the Yehuda, we don't apply the klal of Raif to Bnei Noach to Goyim. We don't apply the majority. Not only that, he says when it comes to Shemitz Bnei Noach, the rule is one judge has a right to make the statement, to judge the ruling if a goy will get punished if he didn't keep his mitzvah Bnei Noach. You don't need to have a majority. You don't have 3, you don't have 20. One judge. We see the klal of Raif doesn't apply. So we can't apply the klal of Raif. So we're going to go after the miut. So since there is a miut which are chayiv, so therefore since Bnei Keturah are mixed with Bnei Yishmael, so that's why the Rambam said they're all chayiv in Milah. Because they're goyim. The goyim don't apply the rule of Roiv. As I love the Shipshat.
Shimon and Levi, they hold from the Rambam. What they did with Shechem.
Well, I don't know. The Bnei Shechem, where did they come from? They were the Zera of Avraham Avinu, no? They weren't from Avraham Avinu.
Canaanites.
Yeah,
They were just tricky.
They were not mechuyev in the whole thing.
It was just tricky.
How does the Rambam's Mishat stimp with
Yeah, they asked him.
However, the Minchas Chinuch asked a very good question on this answer of the son of the Nedi Yehuda. He says, this pshat is not a good pshat. Because if you telling me that we don't apply the rule of Roiv by Goyim, and you have to always be concerned for the minority,
You can't have any gerim.
so then all Goyim should be mechuyev in Milah. You can't go with the majority. So since they got mixed up, the Bnei Keturah not only mixed up with Bnei Yishmael, after Sadcheirav mixed up the whole world, everyone is mixed up. All the Goyim are mixed up. So they're all mixed up, and we don't know who's who anymore. And you're saying we don't apply the rule of Roiv anymore, so all should be chayiv in Milah.
It's like we're choishes for the miut, right?
We're choishes for the miut.
So I would say you can't accept gerim either.
But Gerim, once they become a ger, they're Yidden.
No, but we don't know if it's someone that's also to become a ger.
No, they're allowed to become a ger. Now, just not allowed to marry Yidden. We're allowed to become Gerim, just can't also love him at call to get married. So once they're Gerim, we'll down in the klal of Roiv. That's a big shemagcha. But he says that the Minchas Chinuch, if I nicht. You're not going to go basa right, and then all the ummas in the world have to keep the mitzvah Bris Milah. So he says that the kasha of the Shagasai remains. It's a very good kasha. He says you have to go either way. Either you should say that we apply the rule of Roiv, everyone's potter, even the Bnei Yishmael and Bnei Keturah, or you should say that they're all chayiv because of a suffix. If you want to say the rule of Roiv doesn't apply, so all the nations of the world be chayiv a suffix. But the Rambam doesn't write that. The Rambam goes in the middle. The Rambam says the Bnei Keturah got mixed up with the families of Yishmael, so those Bnei Keturah and Bnei Yishmael are all chayiv. Bnei Yishmael are chayiv. He doesn't say that everyone is chayiv or everyone's potter.
How does the Rambam's stimp with what mice with Sancherev that he mixed up all the way?
This is the kasha. This is the Shagasai's kasha.
Right.
This is
all
the kasha.
All I know is it makes a lot of sense to Rambam, because if they were all chayiv in Milah and they observed it, they wouldn't have this mishagat.
By the way, there's another answer. Others want to give an answer. There's a lot of Gedolei Yisrael dealt with this kasha of the Shagasai. Some of them said we'll give another pshat, then we'll go to Maidiv. They say like this. Some say you can't mix up Bnei Keturah Bnei Ish with the whole world. Bnei Keturah always kept Bris Milah. Most Goyim don't keep Bris Milah. So you can't confuse with the whole world. They have a certain siman on their guf, who they are. They have the Bris Milah. So you can't, it's like Sancheiriv, we don't know the Yichos. Yichos is not something you could tell on someone's face, on someone's body. But the Bris Milah, only Bnei Yishmael or Bnei Keturah kept Bris. So only these two nations can be confused. So once the Rambam said Bnei Keturah got mixed up with Bnei Yishmael, only these two nations kept Bris Milah. So they're the only two nations that I have to be concerned with. That maybe they're Bnei Keturah. Maybe Bnei Yishmael is Bnei Keturah. But everyone else doesn't do a bris, why do they have to be chayish? They don't do any brisim. So obviously there's no confusion about these nations. That's a one pshat given.
But that doesn't make sense, because it's the discussion about Mashiach. It says that right now Yishmael has schus because he does Milah. He's getting a certain amount of schus.
L'maisa, yeah, amen. L'maisa, the Minchas Chinuch wants to pass him different than Shagasai. The Shagasai want to pass him like Rashi and not like the Rambam. The Minchas Chinuch concludes, no. Since the Ravid always argues with the Rambam all the time. Whenever he doesn't argue, he agrees with him.
Right.
Over here, the Ravid doesn't argue with him.
Yeah.
So obviously, if Baal Rivoi, the Ravid,
Yeah.
is not arguing if he's moided to the Rambam. So it means over here that it's not only the Rambam holds the Shita, the Ravid does too. Comes out, you have the Rambam and the Ravid against the Rashi, so you have Roiv with the Rambam. But he says one thing in the ending of the day, so he holds the mitzvah to give them a Bris Milah.
Oh.
But one, the Minchas Chinuch. But one thing he says, don't be doicha Shabbos for this. Hayois, it's a suffix. They're chayiv to do it on Milah and Shmini. But since the suffix, it's not 100% barer, we don't know who they are, B'nai Ketur, B'nai Yishmael, so it could be you're being B'nai Yishmael. So you're not allowed to be Mechal Shabbos for them. You're not allowed to be Mechal
The
Shabbos.
question is if they don't have it by the 8th day, but they do.
And by the way, another thing is, Priya, there's a mitzvah Milah and Priya. Milah is a thicker skin, and Priya is to peel back the thinner skin, foreskin. The Priya, as Allah Sine, only Klal Yisrael Mechuyev. So even when we say that Bnei Yishmael are Mechuyev and Milah, they're not Mechuyev in Priya. I don't know what the Yishmaelim do today, how they practice, what they do exactly, but they're not Mechuyev in Priya.
They don't do prayer.
They don't do Priya?